Hi everyone, I'm Andy Chadwick, and as was said, I'm the co-founder of an SEO agency called Snippet Digital, but more people probably know us for our tool, which is Keyword Insights. And it is the other way, isn't it? Yeah, and one of the main things is we started a profitable SaaS tool without any funding. It's worth knowing this isn't my first software. I've had other ones in the past, and I've sunk a lot of money into it, and they haven't been successful. And so the talk today is really if you want to start your own SaaS business, it doesn't have to be in SEO, it could be in anything. My first one wasn't in SEO, it was in shipping and logistics. So if you want to start your own SaaS business, this should give you some ideas about how to do it without sinking a load of money into it, validating your idea, marketing that idea, and ultimately building it. Cool, so yeah, we started a profitable SaaS tool with no funding. The very first thing you need is an idea, and I'm going to give you some idea about the backstory behind how we came up with our idea. So once upon a time, I started my first company when I was 22, 23, and it was selling roller shutters, which are those big things that come down and secure shops, and it's arguably one of the most boring products on the planet. And by the age of 24, our company had grown to about 25 people, so it did really well. Incidentally, that's how I got into SEO, by the way. I taught myself how to rank on Google and built this big business. But I was a really, really shitty manager. I hated managing people. I wanted to be everyone's friend, and as a 25-year-old, when you're managing 40-year-olds, the power dynamics are all off. So I hated it. And then I basically exited that company. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. My friend now runs it. And I became a freelancer because I thought I just don't want to manage anyone ever again. And then I just started traveling around the world, teaching people SEO because that's how I grew my first company. COVID put a swift end to that. And so I thought, okay, I just start working on my business more. And I started to get more work than I could deal with. And I thought, okay, I just really don't want to hire anyone. There's a common theme here. So I thought I'm going to teach myself some coding to automate a lot of things. And actually, Elias, somewhere in the audience, gave me those very first tips during COVID. I spoke to him a lot on Slack, and we had some calls. So I taught myself some basic coding. And the first tool I ever built was this, I think if I'm blocking it, a little keyword categorization tool. So you could plug in a load of keywords and it would categorize it for you. And I built that on Python and a bit of PHP. Then we met, me and my business partner, and we met at a pub in London, as our good stories start. And basically we decided to form Snippet Digital, our agency. So Ganthan's a lot more technical than me, I'm more content-based, so we thought this would be a great thing. And great things started to happen, and we started to get more work than we could deal with again. So I had one request. Okay, let's keep building this agency, but please, can we just not hire anyone? Common theme. I just really didn't want to do it. Terrible manager before. So together we started building out those tools that I had built into something more professional. So this was a more complicated version of that keyword categorization tool. So this used machine learning back in the days before AI. So once you'd categorize your keywords, it learned from that, and it meant if you were working on other niches, it would learn from it and categorize them even quicker. And we started building loads of tools. I think actually currently we have maybe about 15 internal tools we use. Basically, we were running a 10-person operation with a 2-person team. Our agency was punching well above its weight. We actually do have staff now, unfortunately. But at the time, it was just me and Ganthan, and we were running a 10-person team then. And we decided, look, the tools we're building are really useful for us as an agency, so let's just release some to the public and see what happens. And this was the very first version of Keyword Insights. It was purely a clustering tool. It didn't do anything else, and that's going to be an important thing to remember when I talk about how you start your SaaS tools. Just a keyword clustering, very first version, and we charged from day one. After 18 months, and bearing in mind that cost us probably less than $5,000 to build that. After 18 months, it was already doing 25, 26 grand a month in MRR, so it did really well without any funding. So this is the first way to come up with your idea, and it sounds obvious. Just solve your own problem. And if that doesn't work, like if it doesn't come to a fruition SaaS, then at least you've got a tool that you can use internally yourself. This doesn't have to be agencies, by the way. We work with accountants, so we've built tools for them. They have problems with making tax digital, which is a big thing in the UK at the moment. So we've built a tool for them that helps their customers make tax digital. So obviously a lot of the things I talk about are to do with an SEO agency, but this can apply in any sort of field. The other thing you can do is demand-driven ideation, and that's what it says on the tin. It's identifying problems that other people have. And the next few slides are going to talk about how to find those problems, because I think for too often people think there's a problem, and then they come up with an idea, and then the tool fails, and then nothing works. So this is how to actually validate your idea, or find the idea. So what do we mean by demand-driven? So observing real problems. It's really simple. You look for patterns in communities, search data, and competitor reviews, and then you build what people want. So you create solutions for them, and then you build that. And I'll show you how we do that, because it's not just, so Keyword Insights now is more than one tool. It's not keyword clustering. It's got a whole suite of things. And all those other bolt-ons that we've done is driven by demand, and this is how we find those ideas. So number one is communities. Reddit and forums is a fantastic place to find these ideas. You can go into Reddit and just type in tools or calculators or whatever, and the amount of questions that people are asking, is there a tool that does this? Does anyone know a software that does this? You can find so many ideas that way. In fact, we've got an AI writing assistant as part of that, as part of our suite now. And what we released last week was it's like a humanization part thing. So you can train tones of voice, like custom tones of voice, and then have your whole article rewritten in a custom tone of voice. That came from us looking at Reddit and the amount of people asking, does anyone know a good AI writing tool that actually writes like a human? Anyone know an AI writing tool that'll pass AI detection tests? And we were thinking, oh, yeah, we could just make ours so you can train your own tone of voice and reword it. So really good place to find ideas. LinkedIn groups, same thing. The amount of people that complaining on LinkedIn groups about things not working or asking for recommendations of tools. Again, you could just do a search operator in Google and just type in tools that do, and then just leave the space blank, and it will come up with a load of ideas for you. A niche Facebook group. So again, we get a lot of ideas from mining, well, some of our competitors' Facebook groups. We join them and they talk about that, the issues they have, problems they've got, and then we just obviously jump on that. Or SEO Facebook groups. We're an SEO tool, so we get loads of ideas from that as well. Demand source 2, keyword research. Now this one's obvious for, I guess, a room full of SEO or people in SEO. Search engines are obviously a problem database. And so you can use research tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Keyword Insights, also us, to find all these tool ideas. And all you have to do is if you go into something like Ahrefs, you can just type in tools, click go, and it will bring up the whole database of people asking for tools. You can then pull all those keywords and then cluster them, and then you actually find groupings of tools that you can start coming up with. And then you can validate it with cost per click signals. So if people are paying to advertise for those tools, then you know that there's demand because they're making money from it. There's also competitor gaps. And so one of the things we like to do is go into G2, Capterra, Trustpilot. We type in our competitors. We look at what people are complaining about, what they're giving 2, 3 stars for. And then we just basically improve on that. But it's also a great place to come up with ideas, find gaps. So you got these big generic tools that do a lot. And then people are like, oh, it'd be great if this tool did this. And actually, one of the things I'm going to recommend to you is if you're starting a tool, start really niche. Just focus on a tiny problem. Ours was clustering, and now it's growing into everything. Start on a tiny problem and then grow it out. You can find those gaps by looking at the reviews on G2 and Capterra of your competitors. And then you build better. So I sort of just hinted at it. Take a generic product and then make it into something really specific. So you could get a big CRM and just make it a lead gen tool for marketers is a good example. Okay, so you've now got your ideas. You've come up with those ideas. Now you need a way to build it or pay for it. So way one is you reinvest your profits. So what we did to start off with is we allocated 10 to 20% of our profits back into building a tool. It's tax efficient, it goes against your capital gains, it's low risk, and it keeps you debt free, and you don't have to give any equity away. So if you can afford to, that's a good thing to do. Again, we're an SEO agency, so it was SEO profits, but coming back to that analogy of an accountant, we work with an accountant who pays us about 10 to 15% of their profits, and we're building them accounting tools. So just sidle a bit away and build it into the tool. Makes your company more valuable as well, because then you've got some IP, which is cool. Yeah, as I said, this is how we built Keyword Insights. So it was just reinvesting a small part of that profit. But now with things like AI, it's even easier. And actually, we're releasing tools a lot quicker and a lot cheaper than we were 4 years ago. So the first thing me and Siganthan like to do is prototype something really basic using ChatGPT and then Google Colabs. I know there's been a talk on that earlier. And then we make it into something a bit prettier using Streamlit. We let the team use it. We get feedback from that. Then we go into something like Lovable or Bolt or Replit, and if you don't know what they are, they're like full-on code-building platforms. They're incredible. We've just built a whole tool on that you can upload a load of keywords. It'll search Reddit for them and then give a brand sentiment. And we've built it all in Replit, and then we're going to hopefully build that into a SaaS. So create the prototypes, then push it to something like Bolt New or Replit, create it all, and then you hire later. So we started Keyword Insights. We needed developers because all this AI stuff didn't exist. But now we can get our first version of our SaaS, maybe 60, 70% of the way there, and then pay a lot less to actually build it out into the full-on thing. So that's way number 2. I did do a whole presentation on this at MozCon, actually. So if you want to add me on one of these channels, I can send it to you. This talks more about how to start a SaaS tool, but the one at MozCon was actually how to build it. So I go into a lot more detail about how you can use Replit and Google Colabs, and I go through all how we do it. So I can send you that deck if you're interested. Way number 3, and this is a really interesting one, is you pre-sell or create a paid waitlist. And this is something that one of my friends has done, so I'll go through that. So you launch a landing page, create a cool landing page, explain what you do, make it really exciting. Then you ask for payment, and you've still not built anything at this point. So what you're asking for payment for is you're saying, look, this is how cool this tool is going to be. Pay us $100 now, and then when we actually launch it, you'll get 30% off for life, something like that. It's a really good way to validate your idea. Send some paid ads to it, push it on your socials, see how many people sign up. They're also giving you the money to then, I guess, fund it, and you're validating it. If you don't get enough interest, you obviously refund your customers, and then there's no harm lost. So that's another cool way to do it. A friend of mine, Howard Learman, he started this company called Roam, which is a big virtual office, and that's how they did it. So there was a wait list you signed up to. We paid, it was a nominal amount, and then that was discount. We've got a discount for life on it. And now in 2025, it's a huge, huge platform that everyone uses. Howard, incidentally, is also the founder of Yext before he exited that, so he's got a number of successful SaaS businesses under his belt. Way number 4 is starting lightweight. So charge from day one, see what people are using, and then graduate to a full app. So there's sort of 3 ways to do this. Notion templates, I've paid for them before. You can build a Notion template for like a content analysis or content planning or content, I guess, gap sheet, and I've paid for that. Or Google Sheets, so you can build really powerful dashboards in Google Sheets, stick some scripts in there to make it clever, and then charge people for access. And then there's browser extensions as well. So these are really easy to build browser extensions, especially with AI now. I think there's a company called Crisp, and they started like that. So Crisp is like a voice cancellation software. They started as a browser extension that you could just toggle on, and it made your voices on voice calls better. Now they're a full transcription suite, but they built it out from that. This is also how nomads.com started. So if you don't know Peter Levels, then follow him on Twitter. He keeps releasing tools all the time and talking about how he does it, and it's so fascinating. And this is how he started nomads.com. It started off in 2014 as just a big spreadsheet that everyone paid like $5 to do, to get access to, and you could talk about where was good cafes, you can talk about every city in the world, so you could help other freelancers. Now it's a full-on site that you pay, I think it's £200-300 a year for, and you can filter by loads of stuff and basically get the best places to go when you're traveling. So that's how he started. Way number 5 is partnering with developers. Now this sounds obvious. So obviously is, I guess, a room full of probably marketers. You own the problem, you have the market understanding, you have the customer relationships, and you manage the go-to-market strategy. And then the developer obviously is the build and the architecture, so you pair with them. Now there is a site called Indie Merger, which is fantastic, by the way. I do have an affiliate code, you don't have to use it. But basically, it's you sign up as a developer or a marketer, and it just pairs you together. And the amount of interesting conversations I've had with people who've already developed cool tools and they don't know how to market it, I'm so busy, but I'd love to take them up on it. Like a guy came up to me the other day, and he's made this whole video testimonial software, which is better than the other ones, and I loved it, but I just didn't have the time to help him. But really good site if you are a marketer and you want to be paired with a developer for that 50-50 benefit there. Okay, so you've had the idea, you've built it in one of the many ways we've got here. Now we need to get people to use it. So scaling strategy 1 is building it in public. Now people love a story of an underdog, and they love to be bought into you, and people love that personal aspect. So document everything, what you're learning, what you've broken, be really honest about it, be transparent, give people updates about it. It helps if you've done a bit of personal branding before, so you already have that, I guess, following. But people love reading these stories, and then you show the results. Show how you're getting on, show how it's going, more people subscribe, and it becomes a sort of fun, like a self-fulfilling cycle wheel. Scaling strategy 2 is teaching your niche. Now this is the classic playbook of Moz and Ahrefs and how they started. Teach people how to use your product, and they will come and then use it. I'm going to give you a slight, I guess, additions to it though. The first one is creating your ICP, so your ideal customer profile, and keep it really niche. And that's something that we learned the hard way with Keyword Insights, actually. When we first started, we were trying to be all things to all marketers, and it just meant our messaging was all over the place, and it was actually, after our initial success of the first 18 months, we plateaued because we couldn't work out who we were targeting. I said earlier, one of the things we released was our AI writer, but we were also trying to target our keyword clustering and our keyword research, and the messaging was all over the place. One of our competitors at the time, Jenny AI they're called, they also had an AI writer, but they decided this is just a too crowded market, we're going to get really narrow with our niche, and they still have the same product, but they flipped it and targeted specifically like academics, so university students and that kind of thing. So they're an AI writer, but not for marketing and SEO, they're just for academics, and their MRR went through the roof. So keeping it really niche allows you to be more educational at a very refined audience and resonate your messaging with that. Then you create content. So obviously there's guides, there's teardown threads, there's case studies. TikTok's now becoming a massive discovery channel for that. Another one of my friends, they run a SaaS business for paddle, you know, the game like tennis. Basically you subscribe and it teaches you paddle. They're getting all their customers through making TikToks about paddle and then sending them to their app. So doing it that way. And then obviously the outcome is if you're the best teacher and the obvious tool choice, people then come to you, as I said, with that paddle app. Cold email actually works here too. A lot of people sort of put it in the bin, and it's probably because you get a lot of really bad ones. But if you do cold email really well, which is a whole talk in itself, it actually does bring a lot of customers, and we get a lot through Keyword Insights through that way as well. Scaling strategy 3, customers first. Now this is obvious, especially if you are an agency already and you're building a tool, or you're accountancy and you're building a tool. You've got a bank of existing customers, and you can get them to trial your product. They're your initial user base. You say, hey, we've made this will make your accounting easier. You focus intensely on keeping them happy, so you listen to their feedback, their problems. You make them the early users. And then they become the advocates, and they become, you can launch an affiliate scheme. I was speaking to someone yesterday, I won't name them in case they're not allowed, and they worked for a SaaS business that didn't use an affiliate scheme, which I find mental, because our affiliate scheme probably brings us 15 to 20% of revenue. So affiliate's a really powerful way, but if they're already your users of your agency or whatever you've got, then it's even more powerful. And then you grow. It's the highest return on investment if people are talking about your tool that you already were customers anyway. And then there's the Agency-SaaS Flywheel, which is what we've got. So this is really for agencies, but it doesn't have to be about agencies. Again, if you're that accounting practice, this works really well. So you build a tool, you're an agency or you're accountants, you build a tool, and then you get your customers to start using it. Maybe you use it as an upsell. I'm confident we've won a lot of pitches as an agency because we show them our tool as well. So we're like, hey, if you sign up to our agency, we're not going to take a lot of your budget by writing content or doing that. You're only paying for strategy because we've got all the tools that do that. And then when they sign up, they get access to your tools, and then it gives you credit, and then you can use their money to reinvest in the tool, and it's just flywheeling off each other. Same if you're an accountant practice, you can build this tax tool, you can give that to your customers to make their life easier, and it just starts flywheeling off each other. As I said, that's what we've done, and it works really well. So I'm going to finish the presentation with some problems that we've had in the past, which have either cost a lot of money or we've had to learn the hard way. The first one is don't overbuild. So it sounds obvious, but there's times that we keep building new things or building onto something rather than just focusing on what we have. I think there was a point where we had 5 features still in beta because we're like, oh, that's the next cool thing, that's the next cool thing. And then we just had a load of features that weren't good enough. They weren't collectively good enough that they would be like a competitor that just did that. So just keep it really narrow and don't overbuild it. Focus on making that core part the best and then move on. Skip vanity features. So one of the things we used to do is we'd see on LinkedIn this post go viral with thousands of likes, and because it had this really cool visualization where someone plugged in a load of keywords and it made this awesome little bubble graph thing. Loads of likes. We're like, oh, we couldn't do that. We need to make it. And you spend 2 weeks developing it. We launched it. We get a load of likes on LinkedIn, but actually it doesn't lead to any money because it's not good for anything. It just looks cool, and people like liking it. So just skip that. Secure your secrets. This is one we learned the hard way, especially if you're vibe coding using the Replit and things. We would make something really cool, and then we'd release it to the public, maybe as a lead gen tool, and we would forget that our API keys were exposed, and people would run up a massive bill from our APIs. So if you are vibe coding, please prompt it and say, look, can you just make sure none of my API keys are visible? Because we learned the hard way. I think we had I think it was like a $20,000 bill, which was very painful. So that's definitely one to learn from. Keep your scope tight. In the early days, we would listen to everyone, and we would want to please everyone, and we keep building things. And that's why we actually ended up overbuilding and having loads of features in beta. Don't do that. Just keep your scope tight and focus on the things that you are building. Sounds obvious, but it's really easy to forget doing that. And keep your pricing really simple. We've changed our pricing 3 or 4 times in the 4 years we've been around, and each time costs us a load of money and time. It's because we didn't get it right the first time, or the second time, or the third time. And we've landed on one we're happy with now. It's just 3 pricing blocks, bit of price anchoring, so like the first 2 look close together, and there's a third option. But it took us a long time to get there, and we had a lot of unhappy customers on the way because we kept flipping. We had a lot of confusion. So just think about that before you go fully into it and make sure it's really simple. Finally, the 5 lessons that matter the most. Obvious one, but really do solve real problems. The first SaaS I built, I spoke about it earlier, was that logistics one. It didn't really solve a real problem, and I invested a lot of my money into it. I just thought, I'm going to make this shipping product slightly easier and use a QR code rather than a barcode. It didn't really solve a problem, and then I was fighting this uphill battle where I was trying to tell people the problem they had, which they didn't really see as a problem. And yeah, a lot of money wasted there. So make sure you are solving a real problem through those demand-driven ways I spoke about earlier. Validate with money. Now, this is a really important one. If you've built or you're trying to build a tool, or you've got an idea, you ask your friends or you ask people, they'll tell you it's amazing. And I've had a lot of that. They say, this is a fantastic idea. None of them ever actually buy it, and it ends up being a waste of money. So what I mean by validate with money is if you can get people to pay for it up front, through a landing page or something, that is more of a validation than you get by asking your friends, who will probably lie to you and be more excited than you, which we've also had. Launch earlier than you actually feel comfortable with. So when you launch things, you get feedback straight away, and it might be like soul destroying. Everyone's like, this is crap, but it's valuable, and you can use it, and you can build on it. So launch earlier than you feel comfortable with, and learn from what people are saying. Keep ownership. So we've actually, there's a really good book by Rand Fishkin, Lost and Founder. I'd read that. It gives you an idea into the minds of venture capitalists. We have gone down that route in some aspects of our business, and I regret doing it. You end up building what they want you to build rather than what you know to build, and this tool or the software or the company or whatever it is you've taken VC money from ends up going in a direction that you're not really happy with. There's another one of my friends had the same thing. They had a tool, and it ended up not being successful because they took VC money. And then the second time they did it, they didn't take the VC money, and they've just exited that for really well. I'm not saying all VC money is bad, by the way. It's just if you can keep equity, it's king. Build sticky. This was a big problem we had with Keyword Insights, and still do, actually. So if you are subscribed, stay subscribed. Because what happens with Keyword Insights is you use it, and then you can basically have your content plan for the next 6 months. So you unsubscribe, and that's fine. Like, we want you to just use it when it's useful. But the problem is that doesn't, work well for us as a business. We can't really plan things. So having an idea when you build a tool, like to keep some sticky features. So we're currently, so it can go down the path, we're currently building in like data tracking and stuff. So we're going to build in like live content tracking so you can actually see how your content's performing. That then makes you not want to unsubscribe because you lose access to that data. But right now, you can sign up, get 6 months worth of content, unsubscribe, wait 6 months, come back. So that's a mistake we've learned, and now we're building sticky features now. So there's one thing. And that is everything. So if you want to add me, if you want to bounce any ideas off me, if you want that presentation on how to build a SaaS tool, then add me on one of these, and then I can set it to you from there. I think that's everything. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andy.